Hello friends, welcome back to Complete Medical Coding, a complete CPC learning channel. Today, let's discuss ICD chapters from 5 to 8. These are small chapters and it's very easy to understand the guidelines and very easy to score marks also. So that's why I have combined all together as a one episode. Okay. So before that, if you are new to the channel, please like, share and support me. Please subscribe to my channel if you are new to the channel, and please press the bell icon on the right side so that you will not miss any notifications. You will be receiving all the videos. Okay, so let's move to the chapters one by one. First, let's look into chapter 5. Chapter 5 consists of F codes. Okay, F codes that ranges from F00 to F99. And these codes represent the mental health of a patient. Okay, majority of mental health ICD-10 codes, which are divided into the following categories. All mental related diagnoses or disorders are mentioned in F codes. So these are the ranges which has mentioned. F00 to F09 represents organic, including symptomatic mental disorders. The next session represents like F10 to F19, mental and behavioral disorders due to psychoactive substance abuse. F20 to F29, schizophrenia, schizotypal and delusional disorders. Next series represents mood disorders, depression and bipolar disorders. Then comes the neurotic anxiety, stress related and somatoform disorders. F50 to 59 represents behavioral syndromes associated with the physiological disturbances and physical factors. F60 to 69 represents disorders of adult personality and behaviors. Then comes the intellectual disabilities. Then comes pervasive and specific developmental disorders. F90 to 98 represents behavioral and emotional disorders with onset usually occurring in childhood and adolescence. And F99 represents the unspecified mental disorder. Now, the guidelines, it's just a few guidelines only. You have to always check for use, abuse or dependence. Like majority should be coded. Dependence is the majority. Okay. So, if a documentation includes use of alcohol, for example, or abuse of alcohol or dependence of alcohol, you have to check that. See, it's written there down. Use of alcohol, tobacco, cocaine, nicotine, opioid, cannabis, etc. These are the things that usually comes in the documentation part. If we take an example of alcohol, F10.11 represents alcohol abuse in remission, which means a mild use of alcohol. Okay, which represents a mild use of alcohol. But if in the question, if it is mentioned as moderate use of alcohol, it means it is alcohol dependence. Okay, F10.21 represents alcohol dependence in remission. There will be more codes also, like 21 more characters also will be there, but this is just the beginning part that I am just telling you. So if in the documentation, if the question is related to mild use of alcohol, it means alcohol abuse in remission. And if it is moderate use of alcohol, it means you have to think it will be dependence. Okay, alcohol dependence in remission. For moderate use of alcohol, always code for the dependence code. Now some other important points. F31 represents bipolar disorder. F45.4 represents psychological factors. F45.42, it represents acute or chronic pain due to psychological factors. Code also G89 point, whatever it is, okay, for the pain. If there is any question which is related to F45.42, means any pain, so you have to code first initially the psychological factors, this code F45.42, followed by the code for the pain. Code for the pain is G89 point. whatever is mentioned in the question. According to the question, you have to code it. Okay. Now F50 represents eating disorders. So these are few guidelines from F codes. It's very simple, right? Now let's move on to the G codes. So in G codes, so chapter 6 consists of G codes. This is mostly diseases of nervous system, pain related questions, pain related diagnosis you will be getting here. So if it is acute or chronic pain, which will be the default pain? Always acute pain will be the default. Okay. Default will be acute pain. Now, routine post-operative pain will not be coded separately. If in a question, if there is a post-operative pain is mentioned, you should not code it separately. Okay. Now, code G89 represents, as I mentioned in the previous chapter, G89 represents the pain, right? So it is used as an underlying condition, means it can be used as a primary code in certain circumstances, in certain conditions. Below are the two circumstances where you can use G89 as the primary code. The first one, when the patient is there for pain control or pain management. If the patient has come to reduce because the patient cannot bear the pain, and then he came to control the pain or for the pain management. In that case, you can code G89 as the primary code, or else insertion of neurostimulator. During the insertion of neurostimulator also you can use G89 as the primary code only for these two conditions. Okay. Otherwise, use G89 as a secondary code if indicated. For example, spondylosis patient having pain, but the purpose of visit of the patient is to treat the spondylosis. So don't code for pain. Okay. So the patient is having spondylosis, but he is having slight pain also. But the reason for the treatment, the reason for the encounter of the patient is not to reduce the pain, but for spondylosis treatment. So in that case, we will code only spondylosis. We will not code separately for the pain. Now another example, if patient is gone to hospital to treat the underlying condition, after which a neurostimulator is inserted. See, in the above guidelines, I have mentioned insertion of neurostimulator. If it is there, you can use it as a primary code. You can use the pain as the primary code. So here, code first for the underlying condition, then code for the neurostimulator. Yes, underlying condition means the pain. Okay, so code first for the pain or whatever the whatever pain. Underlying condition means whatever pain is mentioned. So you can code that one, then followed by the neurostimulator code. Now what is G81? G81 represents hemiplegia. Code according to the side affected. In hemiplegia, you have to always check for the which side it is affected, like right side, left side. Okay. G81.11 represents code for right dominant side if the right side is affected. G81.14 represents code for left non-dominant side if left side is affected. And for ambidextrous patient means if both sides are affected, default is left and right dominant side. See, there are left and right sides, dominant and non-dominant. If the right side is affected, you have to code it as the right dominant side. But if the left side is affected, you have to code it as the left non-dominant side. But for an ambidextrous patient, means if both the sides are affected, you have to code both right and left as dominant side. You have to check for the code for both left and right dominant side. Okay. So these are the few important guidelines from G codes. Let's move to the next code. So let's move to the chapters 7 and 8. Both 7 and 8 represents the H codes, where chapter 7 consists of diseases of the eye and chapter 8 consists of diseases of ear. Okay. First, let's look into chapter 7, diseases of eye and adnexa. The range is H00 to H59. Here, two important things that you have to, like two important guidelines for conjunctivitis and glaucoma. In that, glaucoma is very important. Glaucoma part, how to code glaucoma part. Okay. So H10 represents conjunctivitis, H40 represents glaucoma. Always we should check the type, stage and laterality, which type it is, which stage it is, whether it is mild, moderate, okay. Laterality, right, like right, left or bilateral, whatever it is. So code for the 7th character depends on the stage of glaucoma as below. 0 represents stage unspecified, 1 represents mild stage. These are the types of stages, okay. 2 represents moderate stage, 3 for severe stage, and 4 for indeterminate stage. I'll explain it in detail. See the example below. Pigmentary glaucoma. A question is given like pigmentary glaucoma, mild stage in right eye and moderate stage in left eye. How will you code the glaucoma? The patient is having pigmentary glaucoma, mild stage in right eye and moderate stage in left eye. So if you will go to the code for glaucoma, you will end up in code H40.132 or H40.131. Only the 6 characters are mentioned in the ICD code book. If you can open this code in the ICD code book right now, you can understand it more easily. You will come to know that pigmentary glaucoma in right eye. Pigmentary glaucoma in right eye. The code for that is H40.131. Only 6 characters. And pigmentary glaucoma in left eye. Left eye code will be H40.132. 6 characters. So how will you code the 7th character? That is what mentioned above. Code for the 7th character depends on the stage of glaucoma. So here in the question, pigmentary glaucoma, which stage it is on the right eye? It is mild stage. So for mild stage, you have to put the 7th character as number 1 and moderate stage in left eye. So moderate stage number as 2 in the 7th character. So our code will be H40.1322 and H40.1311. 1322 represents moderate stage in left eye and 1311 represents mild stage in right eye. Now the arrangement of the ICD codes, which should come first? Always a severity code should come first, severity stage. So here moderate stage is the severity, right? So we should code for the left eye first. So H40.1322 will come in the initially, followed by the right eye code, mild stage code H40.1311. Okay. Now next one, H60, the range H60 to H95 comes under chapter 8, diseases of the ear and mastoid process. Diseases of ear and mastoid process. This is also simple, okay. If there is any external cause of injury, code first the ear condition followed by the external cause. If there is an external cause of injury to the ear, you have to always code first the whatever diagnosis or whatever disease is related to the ear. For example, otitis or whatever it is. So first code for the ear condition, then you have to code the external cause of injury. What caused that injury or condition? Okay. Now H61.2 represents impacted cerumen. Impacted cerumen means wax, ear wax. It can be left or right or bilateral or unspecified. You have to check the documentation what is mentioned. Okay. Same like that, otitis media, H65 represents otitis media. You have to check for, here you have to check for left, right, bilateral, unspecified, and also you have to check for acute or chronic or unspecified. What is mentioned if it is otitis media unspecified or if it is otitis media acute left ear, acute right ear, acute unspecified, chronic bilateral, chronic right ear, chronic unspecified. So that you need to check. Okay. So otitis media. Use additional codes for any tobacco use or dependence or any history. If there is any history of tobacco use or dependence, that you have to code separately following the otitis media code. Okay. Now H81.1 represents BPV. Sometimes in the question they will mention only BPV. What is BPV? Benign paroxysmal vertigo. Okay, BPV. That will be also left, right, bilateral or unspecified. Okay. Now, what is mastoiditis? Mastoiditis. It is a bacterial infection of the mastoid air cells in the inner and middle ear, usually caused by untreated acute otitis media. If acute otitis media is not treated properly, then the mastoid air cells will get the infection in the inner ear, inner and middle ear. Okay, that infection, that diagnosis is called as mastoiditis. Now, what is H72? H72 represents perforation of tympanic membrane. Quote first any associated otitis media. So, for any types of perforation or any harm to the tympanic membrane, if you are coding any harm to the tympanic membrane related codes, you have to first code if there is any otitis media. Okay, it will be there because like that infection is coming to the tympanic membrane, right? So, you have to code first the otitis media, any associated otitis media, followed by the tympanic membrane code. Now, H92 represents otalgia. Same, left to right bilateral or unspecified. H93.1 represents tinnitus, left to right bilateral or unspecified. What are the difference? What is the difference between otalgia, otitis media and tinnitus? Just for your understanding, I have mentioned it down. Otalgia means earache, pain in the ear. Otitis media means ear infection. Tinnitus means a sound, a small sound in the ear that does not have any external source. It means for others it's not audible. Only for you, you will get that sound. Okay, like insect sound. So that is called tinnitus. So friends, that's all for chapters from chapters 5 to 8. So if you have any queries, you can mark it in the comments. And if you are new to the channel, please support me. Please subscribe to my channel and please press the bell button so that you will receive all the notifications whenever the video is getting uploaded. Okay. So thank you so much for your support. See you in the next episode with some more questions. Stay tuned, friends. Thank you so much. Bye.